We're marginally better. And let's get right into the games. They've already played 3 games. I don't know the results of any of the games, but you guys know the results. Okay, MVL's white against Dinglerin. It's in English. This actually can be played with either side. Okay, and they started to slow down. Probably theory just ended there. So unusual queen pawn opening, Radjabov Caruana. And Giri is playing Nepo. And it's a Catalan. It's the main line of the Catalan. I think usually they play bishop d5 here, queen c2, bishop e4, queen c1. And Nepomniachtchi played knight bd7 instead. And after knight c3, you can't play bishop to d5. Knight's here. So h6, takes. And I guess this is another line which is less common for black than attacking the queen a lot and forcing him to be passive. And Giri plays b4 because he has some space advantage on the queen side. Also, etc. I will refresh. All right, I refreshed. Hey, everyone. It's very refreshing. Bishop d5, you have to take. And this seems relatively pleasant for white. Well, let's see, an MVL's game with Ding after he played rook e1, winding it up on the bubble up. And bishop e6, blocking the file when the pawns get traded. And black seems like he's just about equalized in all the games. This isn't the most exciting variation. Knight b4 seems like a weird move to me. I guess the bishop's less good here than it is here. Hey, everybody. I haven't had any viewers the last 3 hours. Where have you guys been? That's weird. Perrier. Yummy. All right. Yeah, we weren't here the first 3 rounds. This is rounds 4 and 5. I actually don't know what happened the first 3 rounds. I guess I can look on my phone. Let's see. Chess 24. This round started about 6 minutes ago. Not quite 6 minutes, but close. Okay. So in round 1, Nepomniachtchi beat Radjabov, and the other 2 games were drawn. Caruana Ding and MVL Giri. Then in round 2, Caruana beat Nepomniachtchi, and the other games were drawn. Radjabov MVL and Ding versus Giri. So that means Nepomniachtchi had all decisive results. And then we again had 2 draws. MVL beat Caruana, and Nepo drew Ding, and Anish beat Radjabov. What's funny about those results is Nepo won in round 1, then he lost in round 2. Caruana won in round 2, then he lost in round 3. So that means MVL should lose this round based on that. And so far, all 3 rounds have had 2 draws and 1 decisive game. So that means MVL is in clear first because he's +1. Yeah, and then Caruana has a win and a loss, and Nepo has a win and a loss. So who did Nepo beat in round 1? That guy's in last, based on my math. Radjabov. So Nepo and Caruana both have a win and a loss. Everybody else has all draws, and Radjabov has a loss and draws. So that means Radjabov is in clear last, MVL is in clear first, and the other 4 players have 50%. If I did my math right. See, the person who won in round 1 lost in round 2. The person who won in round 2 lost in round 3. So when you win, the next round doesn't go well. If that continues, MVL is going to lose this round. And then all the games are drawn. And if I'm right about what I said, which I'm not saying I am, MVL's in first, Radjabov's in last, and everybody else has 50%. And I could be wrong about that. Because, let's look at the results now. Okay, so this is an interesting position. Again, it's the hanging pawns. White's not playing for much of an advantage, but I'd probably rather have white here. And Geary is always playing for equality, and he's got it. Okay, after knight bishop d5, he traded. Yeah, and this is just like a QGD where they're trading a lot, and it's pretty equal. I'd rather have white because white has the minority attack. And MVL versus Ding. MVL's white. Ding is black. Okay, so this knight's not great, and this pawn's not great. So the engine says white's slightly better. All right. He'll have a big advantage if he can play knight f5, which he cannot do. Let's see. Where have you guys been the last 3 hours? What are you guys doing? Okay, so 2 out of 3. Yeah, Dante updated the score on his own thing. I don't think Mubot has it, but he has the same thing I said. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. All right, let's go read the chat. Happy Father's Day. Thank you. Let's see. Did you see Kamsky versus Ivanchuk? I didn't, but I heard about it. Thanks for the Happy Father's Day stuff. Is his day. Yeah, no, I just started streaming, 6 minutes ago. Yeah. Averbach is playing today, but he hasn't made a move yet. He's thinking about it. Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. A couple of the chat questions I don't understand. So, Chess with Ovi's here. He rated me with -14 viewers. No. All right, so what's going on here? Bishop g4, bishop f3. All right, queen d7, knight e4. Man, that's pretty. It's not good, but it's pretty. Put it in h5. So now the engine likes black because this pawn's weak and white's going to trade a lot of pieces. So then white doesn't really have an initiative and he just has an isolated pawn. It's not good for MVL. Not only is his position worse, but he won last round. So when you win, so far that means you lose the next round. So if he does lose, then Dingler ends in first. A different person in first every round. All right, so after bishop f4, then Radjabov got to the pin with rook c2. The engine likes white because white has this nice center here. White has active pieces. But black is really solid. He just unleashed the latent potential of his rook and bishop by playing knight e7, and he wants to play knight g6. The engine doesn't like knight e4 because there's too many trades leading to equality. It thought white had the advantage by not trading. Radjabov isn't the most ambitious player who ever lived. Maybe he's second. Yeah. Go Fabi, that's right. Yeah. Mubot has the scores from yesterday. Those scores actually aren't correct. It actually only updated the first score, not the last ones. So yesterday's score needs to be updated. But they're going to get rid of it and put today's score, so it doesn't matter.
I'm about to change it to today's score.
Yeah, today's score.
I never do the final.
Yeah, close enough.
Well, I was leaving when it ended.
That's right.
There's no reason to update it.
Exactly.
Give me a moment.
No, you got no time. Okay, so they traded everything on e4. And then instead of retreating his bishop, he played knight g6. That's why he played knight e7. And it's about equal. I guess white's a little better. White still has some center pawns. And he did play the b5 idea as expected. Takes. Queen b6. White's a little bit better because, he's going to give black a bad pawn structure on the queen side, either by giving him a backward pawn or isolated pawn. So rook b1 is the most obvious move because you got to protect your queen and protect your pawn. Bishop f1 is an obvious move because always play bishop f1. And that's about it. I mean, he's got to defend his pawn on b5 and he wants to protect his queen. And then black has to decide whether to let white take or play c5 himself. In any case, white's going to be a little bit better. Okay, he trades on g4 and plays a3, stopping the knight from going to b4 and the bishop from going to b4. The engine is not impressed with MVL's play. and it says black has a nice advantage. Just put the rooks in the center, get the knight to a good square. This pawn's weak. King is a little suspicious. This pawn's annoying. So yeah, but black's just better here. So Dingler in with a nice advantage against MVL. MVL's early middle game play with rook E1 and D4 and bishop F3, very suspicious. Are you shocked and appalled? Wait, did you hide the food I could eat? Where's the food I can't eat? That's good hiding. Yeah. It's blueberries. I made them myself, right? Yeah. I can't get it open. That's how Karen does it. I really can't get it open. Can one of you guys help me? And then what are you eating, tuna? Yeah, tuna's good, except for one thing. It's not as vegan as usual. They do have vegan tuna, but you don't want it.
I don't.
That's good, those crackers. I like those. Yeah. Gary drawing all games. That's right, Gary does have all draws. Doesn't somebody else have all draws? Dingler has all draws. Yeah. Okay, so after A3, Ding played knight to D5. Not a bad move. Good knight in the center. I mean, black's just better because white has this weak pawn and white has some, stuff around his king that's not very good. Everybody's always putting it in H. H4, H5. Put it in H. The engine wanted to go back to E7, but Fabi played knife F4. Very aggressive. Now it says white should play H6, because he did. He pushed his pawn up here. That's the way they play chess now. They pretend that I'm playing 1 minute and they play like me. Yay. All right, Giri played knight E1, which surprises me. He ignored his pawn, ignored his queen, and he's trying to get his knight to a better position, open up his bishop. Now, knight E1 to D3 is a standard idea in these positions. It's just that he's ignoring this. And the engine says all zeros, so Giri's happy. Kangaroo 55 put it in H, the tier 3 sub. Kangaroo's already timed somebody out. Good. Yeah. All right, and MVL played queen C2. MVL's not super sharp this game. It's playing very passive and pedantic and shallow. Yeah, I don't like the way white's playing. This pawn structure clearly favors black. Too many holes in the position. Knight C7. Not the most incisive move because you're giving up C5. It's one of the reasons white played queen C2. Yeah, Ding wants to get his knight over here. Ding, 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 ding. Rook A D1. Yeah, this is very passive play from MVL. He just has a worse position. I mean, you're going to play D4 and let the guy take on passant and isolate your D pawn. You got to get active and get compensation for isolated pawn. Not just do nothing and have a worse position. Terrible. After Radjabov played H6, Fabi played computer-recommended queen F6. And the engine likes white, obviously, because black's king is going to be a little iffy over here. Fabiano's trying to make the game double-edged since Radjabov likes sort of boring positions and isn't an ambitious player. And Fabi wants to win because he lost last round. But yeah, white's clearly better here. Okay, in this position it says all zeros. So normally when it's all zeros, black is happier than white, like in a general sense. But obviously, since Giri's white, then Giri's happier. It's Ovi. Why is MVL in a rut? MVL's in clear first. Isn't D5 really good for white? D5 is legal. Thing is, after queen G6, I'm threatening your rook and checkmate. So I'm not sure if d5 is the most accurate move. And queen g6 is a threat. So, yeah, when you have a rook out here on a limb, then you got to, it's not defended. So you got to be careful. All right, the engine says this is equal. Wow, he played f5. God damn, Ding's not kidding around. Yeah, this looks really good for black. White's king is going to be suspicious soon. Okay, so, black's going to try to get his queen over here. He's going to try to play f4. He's going to try to attack. And white's very passive here. So black has the advantage in the Ding game. Radjabov has the advantage against Fabi. And this game is completely equal. So of the 6 players, the happiest is obviously Geary because it's all zeros. It's funny, some grandmasters, we have our own, sort of like, what's that thing you're a member of that talks about the neighborhood? All the neighborhoods. Yeah, every neighborhood in the U.S. has this next door thing. I guess people don't have enough to do. But anyway, then in chess, we have like a next door for grandmasters, so I shouldn't be telling you guys this. But Geary actually has been going to get work done on, he's got an issue. And he wants to do stuff where he forgets what stuff that he used to know. So it's not really a lobotomy, but just very specific information. And one of the things he did recently is he made sure he could not mate with bishop and knight. Well, you guys see me with bishop and knight a lot. And he knew how to do it, but he wanted to forget how to do it. And they were like, why do you want to forget how to do it? And he said, oh, that way I can draw when it's bishop and knight. Because he was winning too much. It was really getting embarrassing. So go Geary. So Geary trades. I say that sentence a lot. And now c5. And even with the trades and the change in pawn structure, it still says it's equal. That's right. Je regrette, mais je forget. That's correct. Takes. It's the most equal of positions. I mean, I'd still rather have white, but the engine says everything is all zeros. Okay, so Dinglerin saved his A-pawn. And now MVL played A4, stopping knight B5 and trying to fix the pawns. Now black can play queen F7 and start attacking down the F file or the H file. And I don't know, this doesn't look right. This looks like a really nice blockade. So that's black's just better here. F4 super aggressive. Engine does not approve of F4 because it gives away the E4 square. So now white can play rook E4. And you don't want to take it because then I get rid of my isolated pawn and I unleash some initiative. But the rook's good on E4. It just sits there and double up on the bubble up and put pressure here. So F4 gives away a lot of black's advantage. Now, Geary, on the other hand, if he was doing commentary, F4 exclam equals. All right, so lots of complications of this game. G3, making sure he doesn't get mated on, G2. Queen G6 attacking the rook. HG7 is correct. Played rook FD7, rook FD8, I should say. Rook E3. Super aggressive play from Caruana. Not good play, but super aggressive. Yeah, the engine doesn't like black's position. Black's down a pawn. His king is suspicious. And he's playing for tricks. Silly Radjabov. Tricks are for kids. Although Radjabov's actually white, but it sounded closer to rabbit than Caruana. Man, this is the greatest Geary game ever. This will be on the cover of his book. My greatest draws. All right. It's the most equal of positions. So Geary's going to draw. It'll be 4 draws out of 4, etc. It's sort of like, in the Chappelle show, game show, and the guy says, "What did Bookman do?" And he says, "I never saw the show. Was he a janitor?" And he goes, "Ding, ding, ding. Never watched the show. Knew that Bookman was cleaning up. Didn't see this round, but knew that Geary had all draws." It's amazing. They're still playing because you can't agree to a draw before move 40. It's the most drawn of positions. Now, here's what I mean by positions being more drawn than other positions. Some positions are drawn because one side is trying to draw, and if they play very accurately, then they draw. This is drawn no matter what move either side makes ever. That move draws, that move draws, that move draws. Then when you make one of those moves, all of your opponent's moves draw. And both players know that, so they're just playing really fast. So rook takes here. He knows if he takes this pawn, that white's going to take this pawn. So he's giving white an isolated pawn instead. Okay, all right. Yeah. Nobody's better here. It's the most drawn position. Okay, you can't agree to a draw before move 40. They're on move 37. So, yeah. Etc. And I'm sure they've already agreed to a draw, but I'm not going to move behind. All right, a very slight advantage for Ding. Traded rooks instead of rook e4. Knight takes. The engine doesn't like knight takes. It wants to take with the queen or the rook because it likes this blockade here. Knight takes it doesn't like. Bishop takes f4. Knight f4, gf4, rook f4, rook e1. So even though white has a bad pawn structure, black does have these isolated double pawns, and white just traded everything. So the engine says equal. Of course, black would like to put his knight on d5 here, which would have been easier if his knight was already on c7. So the engine wants to go here and then here. So this is also now completely equal. If you take here, then this is hanging. The queen is overworked and overloaded. So if you play rook takes, for example, I play rook takes. Queen takes, rook takes, and all those are drawn. He played knight c7, but every move is a draw. There's repetitions here too where the knight attacks the rook and the rook goes back. They repeat. So with material equal and both sides having weak pawns and both sides having open kings, it's just equal. So basically what's happening now is Radjabov is better. Geary already drew. They did a repetition. Okay, they did this repetition and draw. So that game's over. That's one of Geary's finest. Yeah. Did you want some blueberries?
I'm good.
Anybody want blueberry? No. Yes, the players can repeat any time and the game is a draw without getting to move 40. That's right. That's correct, William of Orange. Technically, Geary is 4 out of 4. Just that they're all draws. You want a blueberry? All right, we'll see what we can do. 200 Senzadues, my first donation today. Thank you. It's Grungewart. Hey, Grungewart. 300 viewers. Hooray. Go viewers. So we've had 3 decisive games this tournament. Nepomniachtchi won in the first round against Radjabov. Then Caruana beat Nepomniachtchi. Then MVL beat Caruana. All the other games are draws. So MVL's in clear first. Radjabov's in clear last. And this game is getting closer to equality now. In this position, white should play d5. But he played queen f1, which is a very bad move. And black missed a very nice opportunity here to get an advantage, actually. This rook is no longer defended, which it was last move when the queen was on d1. So we could take advantage of this pin with the move rook d5. If you take the rook, then I take this rook attacking the bishop. My rook's on the 7th. If you don't take the rook, here comes the rook. So after rook d5, the engine actually prefers black slightly. But he played h5. I mean, if white can do that, then black could do that too, I guess. I don't know. The engine does not like king h2. Doesn't like that move. And now it wants to play knight d5 because this pawn is pinned again, attacking the rook and unleashing the bishop on the king so we can play h4. And after knight d5, black is better, but he played knight g6 with the same idea, but his knight's not attacking the rook now, so white gets to do anything he wants, which is queen h3. Yeah, and white's slightly better now. But if black had played knight d5, he would have been better because he would have been threatening to play h4, and he would have been threatening the rook also. So it would have gained a tempo. So neither player seemed to notice. Well, now he notices. Now he plays b5. Okay, but the engine doesn't like b5. After c5, it prefers white. So Radjabov is better. Giri and Nepo drew. MVL Ding is probably going to be a draw. So it looks like after this round, MVL is still going to be in first. If Caruana loses to Radjabov, Caruana is going to be in 6th place out of 6. Very suspicious. Okay, so c5 was played. That is correct. Knight e7 is good. And white's up a pawn, this pawn. White has a passed pawn. So white has an advantage, Papa John's. And the engine doesn't like what MVL is doing. MVL has to realize he won the last round. That means he's going to lose this round. That's what's been going on in this tournament. So after knight d5, he played the move knight e2, which not engine approved. Rook f7, queen c4, queen f5, rook e8 check. Yeah, I mean, obviously what black's made his piece is really nice here. The reason black is going to be better, after king h7, queen e4, if the queens are traded, white's fine, but black can play g6, not trading queens, and if white trades queens, he takes back with a pawn, straightens out his pawns, and has the advantage in the endgame. Instead of 2 isolated pawns, his pawns are together, and white has 3 isolated pawns. So black is just better now. It's a better endgame. This knight's better than this knight. This pawn's super weak. Black obviously has a threat here. So this is nice for black. And they traded queens in Radjabov's game. Queen takes, pawn takes. And white is better. So Ding has the advantage. Radjabov has the advantage. Not winning, but, pressing. I'm getting a text. That's from Magnus. I think white should promote his G-pawn and then get his queen to A1. All right. Well, it's possible. That's why Magnus is more of a player than a commentator. That's an unusual place for the knight, h4, since it has to go back here to get to a good square. So not the engine's favorite move. After knight d5, it thinks black is equal. It doesn't like this move. While it's game 4, the players are probably tired from the game's day, the play of the day. Just chess, get tired eventually. Level of play goes down a little bit. Yeah, we should send some merch, make some new merch, send it to Magnus. Always play queen a1. Oh, good idea.
Didn't he, a couple turns ago, play f3 when he should have had no loss?
I hope so. Yeah. It sounds like something he'd do, just to thwart me.
It's hot in here.
Yeah, well, I'm always hot. So.
I'll go turn it down.
Rook e1, saving his rook. Good. And the position's equal now because white's knight is pretty suspicious. King h7, g6 was played, queen d4. He played queen f6. And the engine likes black, but just by a little bit. White has more weak pawns than black does. Should be a draw, but engine prefers black a little bit. Tomorrow, where I will be doing commentary at the normal time, 10 a.m. Eastern, the players from yesterday come back and complete their double round robin. He played rook e4, attacking this pawn, queen d4. Probably he'll play rook d4 would be my guess. And then, black's slightly better, but it should be a draw. So we might see 3 draws this round. I showed up for the right round. Yeah, 5 games a day seems a little suspicious. I agree. Go Magnus. All right, the engine says this is all zeros. It's too boring. Traded queens, rook f3. Put it in rook. Problem with rook f3 is if white plays knight c3, then when the knight trades or moves, rook d7, and all the pawns are going to come off the board. It's going to be a draw. Knight c3 should draw pretty handily, I would guess. So it looks like 3 draws this round, probably, but the person who really drew, who knew what they were doing, was really good at drawing, was Geary. Geary didn't have these complications. It was just trade, everything off draw. Yeah, that was how you draw. You're right. We need more sacrificing. Boo. Okay, he did the rigmarole with his knight. And they'll probably trade knights, and then it's equal. Right? Yeah. Have I ever played Magnus? Only on the internets. Yeah, Geary's confused. Why don't these guys draw more quickly? F takes is a mistake because this pawn's weak after rook h8 check. So he took with the rook. King to g6. Yeah, this is going to be a draw. I can't see either side winning this. A donation? What the hell? $5 from the account Chessbay owns Hikaru. That's the account.
What?
Yeah. All right, so he played a5. Not the best move. And then he played rook takes, rook takes. This is probably a draw too, but this is clearly better for black. We got 4 bad pawns over here. Well, he has less bad pawns because he sacked a pawn. So he did this on purpose when he played a5. He was looking at takes, rook here. Then he'll take this pawn. And he figured that was an easy draw. He's probably right. If it's an easy draw, probably a draw. CL Smith subscribed. Yeah, he's going to trade knights, rook here, rook takes. And even if he gets a pawn down, he figures it's an easy draw. Okay, so MVL is going to try to draw the pawn down rook ending. Maybe. And this position just looks completely equal. All right, Dane took on c3, take on c3, take on c3, rook b4. Either rook c5 or rook a3 will be played. Rook c5 takes, rook takes a5. This is what MVL had in mind when he played a5, and he probably thought, this is a draw. Yeah, it looks like a draw. Rook c6, and black can't move anything. I have to agree, this looks like a draw. Yeah, I don't see anything black can do. Only way for black to win is to go here and give this pawn away and then pretend that his two pawns are better than these two pawns. I mean, they're better, but it's not going to win. Yeah, get this pawn going so that when you take this pawn's closer to queening. So I'm guessing this will be a draw. I'm guessing this will be a draw. And we'll see 3 draws this round, which means MVL will still be in clear first and Radjabov still in clear last. All right, this is obviously a draw. Black has no king. White should... Yeah, okay, it doesn't matter. I was going to like that move. It doesn't matter. Yeah. This is just a dead draw. All right, so MVL and Ding drew. Giri and Nepomniachtchi drew. And we have an equal ending in this game. And E5 is going to force some more trades, bringing it closer to a draw. Black's better because black has a passed pawn. His rook's behind it. But, it should be a draw anyway. Although, yeah, Fabi was probably in trouble this game. And I think Radjabov was in trouble for a couple of moves. So a draw is the fair result. Yeah, they're good at trading all the pieces off. Yeah. Yeah, Radjabov was good until he wasn't. You think Magnus will have a good day today? Well, he's not playing today, so yeah. I agree. Tomorrow, though, might be different. Tomorrow, he's fighting for a sandwich. So black's slightly better here, but probably a draw also. Now, I'm not saying these players are worse than yesterday's players, because probably by FIDE rating they're the same. But it just seems like those players are more exciting. Artemeyev, Dubov, Naka, Carlsen, Grishuk. It seems like a more exciting group of people than these people. These people are slightly less exciting. Although Radjabov did play f3, so... Yeah, it's hard to win when there's no pawns on the board. The engine says black's better, but the engine's lying. No lying. You people. Yeah, Magnus was exciting yesterday. Queen A1. Giri's the most entertaining, just not when playing chess. Yeah. If we're lucky, which we won't be, then this will get to rook and bishop versus rook. But we're not going to get lucky. Even Magnus's ego. Or wait, Sven, Magnus, Magnus, subscribe, thank you. The engine prefers black because black has this nice passed pawn. Now, if Fabi wins, Radjabov will be -2. 2 losses and 2 draws. Terrible. And Fabi will be tied for first with MVL at +1. I mean, the game is going to be a draw, but I'm trying to bring some excitement. 209 centidues from Jay Groges. Thank you. Now, if we get one more, 100 centidu or sub, we have another train. Also our first train. Yay, go Perrier. It's a train from BG Yoshi. 1 centidu. Thank you, Medi Pepe. Explain what +1 and -2 means. Never. That's the differential in number of wins and losses. So -2 means you have 2 more losses than wins. +1 means you have 1 more win than losses. The end. Solitary Bishop gifted 10 subs. God damn, it was our solitary donation of the day. Medi Pepe, 100 centidu. Saving bits for emotes. Muhahaha. That was a good idea. 250 centidus from a Rodel. You're the best. Every time white makes a move, my engine says, yay, black's better. Then black makes a move and it says, aw, now it's equal. That's every move of the last 5 moves. It doesn't like any of the moves either side plays, even though it's like really boring and equal. So, fly half, 200 centidus. Pretty fly for a 2014 half guy. Now, I think the only way Fabi's going to win is if Radjabov has less than 30 seconds. What do you think? Does Radjabov have less than 30 seconds? Ooh, Fabi did play Bishop F8. Maybe I take that back. So Fabi wants to take this pawn, eliminate the bishop here, and then make a queen. I want $1 billion donation. I don't know which one's more likely to happen. Is it Rook C2 winning for black as black plays Rook C2? Very good. But the answer is no. But you shouldn't say stuff like that. Fabi can see it now. He plays Rook C2. You can't be helping these guys out. Black might win. I mean, that's a pretty strong pawn. Also, I was hoping we get Rook and Bishop versus Rook, but I thought it was very unlikely. It's more likely now. It's still unlikely, but it's more likely. Always play Bishop F8. Scam Train. Go Scam Train. We're level 4? Oh, yeah, the 10. That's right, 10 subs. Yeah, this group is slightly less exciting. Even the longest game of the round isn't too exciting. $200 centidues from JVAPSVA. Good name. There's pi number of viewers. Pi. That is all. King F5, very suspicious. Anybody know the time situation? It's our only hope for a decisive result. Somebody blunders in time trouble. Hmm. 1:47 p.m. Thank you. 2 minutes for Fabi, 15 seconds for Radjabov. Yeah. Well, okay, then, Fabi might win. Radjabov playing on increment. Yeah, you know how I feel about this chair? Remember when George got that chair? He was supposed to give it to that guy, but he didn't do it. He just kept it. It was the vibrating massage chair. Oh. E6. White's playing for the win. Queen the pawn. They traded rooks. Trade everything. Still, we have a chance at rook and bishop versus rook. We have a chance. Yeah, the engine didn't like rook to d3, but I mean, obviously it's a draw. But, black's getting better because Radjabov has no time. He's getting squeezed. Yay, success. I didn't watch any of the Kamsky-Ivanchuk, and I have no idea what the result was. But I assume Ivanchuk won based on knowing who the players were. Well, don't know anything about it. Somebody give me the results. I want results. Ivanchuk was amazing? Yeah. Somebody said, why doesn't he take on g5? He did. 8.5, 6.5, that's pretty close. We're looking good here for rook and bishop versus rook. It might happen. It's possible. The important thing is, if you're going to play 5 rapid games in a day, make sure they're all 100 moves. That way. Yeah, this is very good winning chances for white. Or for black. And for white, but mainly black. The engine line is rook and bishop versus rook, the first engine line. It says black takes this at some point, white takes this at some point, this, and then take, rook and bishop versus rook. That's actually more than one of the engine lines. That's what I want to see. Was Ivanchuk always better than Kamsky? No. About 50-50. But Kamsky didn't play chess for a while, and then when Kamsky came back, he was probably worse. Before Kamsky quit chess, it was unclear who was better. Depends what year it was. What's that?
Ooh. That was bothering me. You can see the edge of the chair.
Oh, the edge of night. Rook a6. Rook a6 makes it harder to have rook and bishop versus rook. He wants to defend his pawn if it ever, he wants to not lose his pawn. But I needed that rook here so I could win the bishop. No. I want rook and bishop versus rook, not this. Seven seconds to 1 minute. Good. Oh, this is rook and bishop versus rook. Oh, he didn't take it. White could have forced rook and bishop versus rook, but he didn't want it because black played e5 in this position. Then he could have taken on e5 and taken on b3. What's that noise? Oh. $9.99. Get myself a Perrier. Right here. Panda be God. So after e5, white did not take on e5 and get our rook and bishop versus rook. Or rook takes and king takes. Instead he played bishop c5. Boo. Terrible. 14 seconds left. Yes. It is going to be rook and bishop versus rook. Hooray. Hooray for everybody. Pam says you look good in green.
Oh,
Somebody says they saw you.
thank you.
All right, so here takes king f3. He played bishop d4, which is the best move. Because you don't want to get mated somehow here, and you're just trying to get rid of this and get this drawn position. And then he played bishop f4, and they do have rook and bishop versus rook. Hooray! As I predicted they probably wouldn't have. I was just hoping. Gotta hope for something. So we're on move 74. Will we get to move 100? Radjabov already has a very tough position. Can you move your mouse a little bit just because it's going to turn off? That's why. There you go. There you go. Yeah.
Time now.
Yeah. This actually isn't an easily drawn position. The one that he has, his king is already getting close to the side. He's playing the famous second rank defense. It's where you put your king and rook on the second rank. And then if you get pushed to the first rank, there's some stalemates. "44 seconds for Radjabov, a minute 30 for Fabi. And we're on move 77 at the moment. It's a theoretical draw, and at the Super GM level, they draw it about 90% of the time or more. However, in rapid blitz and bullets, not as often. So, like in this kind of time situation, it's about 50-50. So what happened? Who did Naka lose to? Naka lost rook and bishop versus rook in like the first round of one of these Magnus tournaments. Was he playing Fabi? Who was he playing? I think he was playing Fabi. I don't know. Somebody was playing somebody, that's for sure. MVL? Was it MVL and Naka, or I made that up? Aronian. MVL. Ding. Yeah, Aronian beat Naka, right? I think that's what happened. Yeah. Yeah, this is the second ranked defense. This I've seen. There's some stalemate tricks. Papa John's. Ivanchuk's not a bad checker player either. I think he's about 2,000 strength. Plays in checker tournaments. They're on move 80. This is the game that doesn't end. So if Fabi wins, he's tied for first with MVL. And if it's a draw, then all the games were drawn this round. MVL maintains first, Radjabov continues in the last, etc. That's right. He won gold in like the World Blitz Championship, but he was playing checkers. That's right. I think he was playing with Jobava. You hate it? Oh. Karen does not like checkers. Although, there's a caveat. She did mean Nixon's dog. It's Karen.
Well, I'm not gonna.
Why not?
I was just going with it.
But they like your green outfit.
I can sit for a minute.
Yeah.
I was just gonna sit over here.
It matches my chair. Yeah, if you go to a table base that either says it's a draw or a win, the engine that doesn't have table base just says that, black's better. Unless it sees a forced win, then, But yeah, this is a draw so far. When it's a forced win like made in 20 or 18 or 15, then the engine's good enough to see it. So when it says like +1 or 0.8, then it's a draw. If it ever is a forced win, the engine will indicate that. But if it doesn't see a win and it just sees that black is a piece up, it says, so basically the engine is not very useful, but table bases are useful. So far, Radjabov has done nothing wrong, so it's still a draw. It's too hot, so we refuse to play tennis. And Karen's tired, and I'm more tired. We agree we're too tired. Just like Madeline Kahn.
No, I mean, I'm up for some tennis.
All right, let's play. La, da, 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 da.
Especially since Archer's returning.
Mm-hmm.
So, you said it's a, I haven't really been following the game since I was doing some other work. But you said it's a draw.
Right, and Bonarici must be like you, because for like 3 minutes we were like, who did Naka lose to? And then it was always Aronian, and then we discussed it. Then he said, man, Naka lost this. After we've been talking about it for several minutes.
Well, maybe he was doing something else.
Terrible. No, just terrible. Yeah. Not paying attention at all.
Well, I was doing work.
Exactly.
It's my excuse.
Yeah. I don't think Radjabov's going to forget how to draw this. I think he's good.
So what would he have to do wrong for it to not be a draw?
Well, if his king gets to the back rank and he doesn't have any good defense. But there's two known defenses. The Sven position, obviously, and the second rank defense. He's been using the second rank defense.
Well, what are those defenses?
Well, that's where the rook is behind the bishop, pinning it to the king.
Oh, okay.
And then you're on the back rank and you move the king to the direction the other king. When you have, like, let's pretend there's a black king like here and a black bishop here and the rook is pinning it. So you just chill. Then if the king goes that way, you move your king this way. If the king goes that way, you move your king this way. That's like one of the known drawn techniques. He's doing the second rank defense where he keeps his rook on the second rank with his king. Although he doesn't have to now because Fabi's just messing around. Fabi had him where you had to play the second rank defense. Then when he wasn't winning, he just went over here. It's like the third rank defense. So anyway, so when you check him, then he attacks your rook. Then moves his rook away, you go back. So if you don't check him, how do you win? So basically, Fabi's just doing nothing because White's defending too well. And then he just tries something somewhere else, and he hopes that Radjabov gets confused. I don't think Radjabov's going to get confused.
So how do you spell the other defense? The Sven? The what?
Sen, S-Z-E-N.
S-Z-E-N. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to Google that after the stream.
Yeah.
I'm so bad at in
Let's see. Sven, Rook, and Bishop. Probably didn't spell Bishop right. Jump to Sen position. See? That's the Philidor position. That's winning. That's the Lolly position. Also winning. And then, let's see. There's the set. Yeah, there's that position. The Sen position. Discovered. See, that guy discovered it. The kings are opposite in an L shape, and then the king, Pinter and Razuvayev, R.I.P. for everybody. Yeah, maybe Razuvayev's alive.
What was your search that got you to this wiki? Just Sven?
I typed in like Zen, Rook, and Bishop.
Okay.
In Google. Yeah.
That looked like a good page.
Yeah, maybe. Wikipedia knows everything.
Yeah.
The second rank defense keeps his king and rook on the second rank.
Yeah, I agree, Grandmaster Gowry. That was had everything right there.
Yeah.
Succinctly.
Now another game. If you look at the game DeFermian Feingold, right, from U.S. Champs 1994. You guys can look this up on your own. DeFermian Feingold U.S. Champs 1994, right? I guess I put chess. I don't know. It's confused. No, the game should be there somewhere. I made a video on it. Oh, that's a different game I played against him. U.S. Well, I was black, so that wasn't this game. This is the game I beat him in Chicago, where I played king f1 and then so forth. Sacked a pawn with c5, right? Yeah. You agree? Like here I play king f1,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Oops. Dang, I messed up. See, here I play king f1, and then I sacked a pawn with c5. See? Oh, it was d5. I thought it was c5. c5, there it is. And then we got this position. Yeah, I beat Defermian good. And then he resigned. But that's not the game I'm talking about. That was also played in 94. I played Defermian a lot in 94. Anyway, in the U.S. Championship 1994, Key West, I was black against Nick Defermian, and I had rook against rook and bishop, and I ended up drawing. Rook e3, double X clam.
No passage 33. That has not happened.
So here's what could happen. You could get a position where like your king is here and the other guy's king is here and his bishop's here and you're going to resign, but you play rook here check. If he takes your rook, it's stalemate. That's like one of the ideas.
That's
yeah.
fine, man. I'm not gonna.
All right, let me show you what I mean.
All right.
Okay. So let's say you have this position, right? And it's white's move, and you're like, you can go here and draw. Because if he takes it, it's stalemate. Right? Yeah, stalemate.
Oh, yeah.
Right. That's one of the reasons you do. Then you're just like, If he goes away, you're like, whatever. You went away. Yeah. That's one of the reasons you play this way.
Oh, I see.
Is you have some stalemate tricks with your rook on the second rank.
Oh.
Well, that didn't happen.
Even I saw that.
Got to refresh and repeat, rinse.
Well, chicken asks, has it been 40 moves and why?
Now, when he says 40, does he mean 50?
Oh, yeah, 50 moves.
Why haven't they agreed to a draw? Has it not been 40 moves? If it was a 50 moves, you wouldn't agree to a draw. It would be a 50 move rule draw. And obviously it hasn't been 50 moves. It's been like 10. All right, let's go back to when there was, whatever. 70, what's 70 plus 50? 120?
Mm-hmm.
And they're on move 106. 107. See, now he's getting close to lost. This is the only move that draws. He might lose now. He's getting close to losing. Now it says that rook g2 also draws. This is getting close to losing, so I don't know. Although he has to win pretty quickly. Now he's lost. That's a blunder. Now he's losing. Now he might not lose. He might gets a 50 moves further. I think he's going to lose. This move is a blunder. Rook g3. Mm-hmm. So in this position, rook g1 and rook g2 draw. Usually want to keep the rook as far as possible from the king and bishop. So this draws, and his move actually loses. So now he's losing after rook g3. Rook here's winning, and now he's winning. It's winning for black now. Rook check, bishop e5. Yeah. Yeah, now he's losing. So the winning idea for black is to play check, and then you can't go in the corner because discovered check. Then you go here. Then what you want to do is play bishop check and rook here mate. So you have to move the rook somewhere, and it actually works here. It's actually a win. But it's getting close to move 120. So I don't know if he's going to mate him or win his rook before the 50 move rule. It's going to be really close. Okay, so now he's threatening bishop here check, king here mate. So you have to play rook here to pin the bishop, which he did. And now rook a4 wins. That's one of the wing moves. Now we're threatening mate. Okay, so you have to move the king. And now you play rook h4, and that's it. He wins. He's threatening mate. Yeah. And he resigned. So the game ended because this is move 114.
Oh,
and he has to take the bishop now, and then his 50 move starts over.
So I'm confused. So why would it be different if the white...
Exactly. Right. So what you're asking is, instead of this stupid move, what if he played one of the right moves?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's play as far as possible, which is generally what you want to do. Now, in the game, After rook here, he threatened mate. Like rook here. He checked him. He blocked the check. He played here and then check and then resigns. Okay, so let's look at if he played the right move. Instead of if he played rook g1. Okay, rook g1, and let's try to win the same way. Oh no, it still says it's winning. So this is already lost? I mean, the king does look really bad. Oh, this is already lost. This is already a losing position.
So so
Rook g6 loses also. Right. Well, I was confused, I must admit, when he played this move. I thought he knew what he was doing. Like, the obvious move is to go here. You don't want to, like, go and you don't want to get mated. You want to go away from there. But he was, like, confidently played that, but that loses. Yeah, now actually black's winning. So this move's a draw. He's already had, like, this position. I'm surprised he didn't go here because you don't want to go in the corner. But I thought he was still drawing because he just played it like it was obvious. But it's weird to do that. And by the way, when Naka made the losing move against Aronian, he also went in the corner. When like not going in the corner was a draw. It was weird. Like to do that is weird. So this is the losing move. Yeah, now he's lost. It said this was the only drawing move. Then it said these both draw, but they both lose. For the same reason he did it. Yeah, it's just winning. I mean, you don't want your king in the corner. That's terrible. You want your king, in the center. So he was drawing the whole way, and then he got confused here and played king here instead of king here. Yeah, putting your king in the corner just loses. Boo. Yeah, now he's lost because his king's just trapped. He's getting mated. Frankly, terrible.
It seems like that's something that he would know.
It's weird not to go here because that's like seems a lot safer.
Know.
Yeah.
It's a super jam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, putting the king in the corner is pretty dangerous. Yeah. And he got mated like in 5 moves. But yeah, here he's never going to get mated. No.
Yeah. Go Fabi.
Like here's a good example of a draw, right? So I can't go here because of mate. No. So I have to go here again, Yeah. But if I had to like play king here, right? And then you play king or have my second right defense stalemate draw. Bam. I always have that drawing trick with stalemate. All right, so Fabi won. Fabi's tied for first with MVL. And out of 4 games, Fabi has 3 decisive games, right? And Radjabov has 2 losses and 2 draws. He's in last by quite a bit. In fact, Radjabov's the only minus score. The other 5 players are 50% or higher. Okay, although that might be wrong. No, I'm right. And then Caruana and MVL are +1. Radjabov's -2. And the other 3 players are 50%, with Geary obviously having all draws.
So Dr. Chess Gremlin wants to know,
Ending.
would the engine see it if the depth were increased?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I would think so too. This is just the chess.com.
Right, you have to have a depth increase. You'll have a think for a second. But these positions are already known. There's just table bases. They have the right answer. The engines that play in these tournaments, the good tournaments, a good engine has the table bases and does something that's very interesting. It's better than table bases, which this one doesn't. If you turn on the table base, it knows the answer if there's 7 pieces or less. Like it already knows the answer. What a good engine does, it has table bases connected to the engine, which means if there's 9 pieces on the board and it's analyzing, and it gets to 7 pieces, the table base kicks in. So now, when there's 9 pieces, it says like mate in 71, because it analyzed the best variation, and the table base kicked in on 7 pieces. So these don't do any of that. This is Rufus and Doofus here, right? These engines don't go to a long enough depth because we're not sitting here long enough, and they're slow and shallow and pedantic. So yeah, obviously in the Rook and Bishop versus Rook, like Cess just sees mate because it's like 50 stockfishes. Yeah. But a table base already knows the answer. The answers are already known. You can go to the internet for free and find out. Or you can buy the table bases, or you can steal them. But don't steal them, because that's unethical. So don't do that. Also, it's silly to steal table bases when they're free on the internet. Also, for your Android, but not for the iPhone, unless they changed it, you can get 6 or 7 piece table bases on your phone without, using the internet.
I'm
Let's
gonna get
see.
some glasses cleaner for you.
Yeah, and also it says we have to order from Loving Hut. I don't want to, but it's telling me to.
I'm not even hungry.
But it says I have to. Right? All right, the next round already started a long time
Oh,
ago.
no. All right, will you do
And
that?
you have to update the scores.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that right now.
Yeah, the next round already ended, actually. All right, they didn't start because this game just ended, so I'm going to use the restroom.
Oh.
That'll teach Karen. All right. And then you'll have to change all the games once they change all the games again. Okay, so MVL and Fabi are tied for first with +1. Radjabov is -2. The other three players are 50%. Just a second, I got a text from Fide. Radjabov has legally changed his name, wow, to Pentala Hari Krishna. Man, I didn't see that coming. All right, don't forget to entertain them.
Oh, you want to sit over there?
Yeah, you gotta just show me your green stuff.
What?
Matches the chair.
All right, I'm gonna sit here for a second. I need to update the scores. So what's everybody doing? Let me read. Loving Hut equals trash. It's all right. It's not bad. It's vegan. Hey, ET12 Win, how's it going? Hey, Honky Blood, Palem 89. Yeah, I think it's good. You know, sometimes if I sit with Ben, I can ask all the dumb questions and the not so dumb questions. Turns out my question was a good question. No, I am not vegan, Dr. Goguma. I'm not even vegetarian. Hey, James Lost 10, but I don't really eat a lot of meat. Mostly chicken. Hey, BG Yoshi. Your hair is nice. Thank you, MSD8788. I need to get it cut. Oh, here he comes.
Was there 1 million donations?
Bye.
1 million?
No.
Did we get 1,000 extra viewers? Did your outfit match the chair at all?
Maybe.
All right. Let's see. Kangaroos timing people out as soon as I get back.
I didn't even notice all that.
Just as I got back. Wow.
Maybe you insulted me.
Who insulted you?
I said maybe they insulted me.
Nah. Then Kangaroo removed the timeout.
Oh.
This guy's like, I wanted to play Karen. Yeah, we're not doing that. Look at the name of the stream. Boo. All right, I don't have any moves yet, which doesn't mean they haven't started playing.
I haven't fixed the score.
What's that? I don't think they've started. So yeah, MVL and Caruana are +1, and Radjabov's -2, and the other players are 50%. It's an adult bookstore, and it's a vegan place. That's right. We want Stram about games with Karen. What? Watched Levy before you. Man, spelling is tough, it looks like. Oh, snap. Yeah. All right, we got moves. Nepomniachtchi played E4. Dinglerin played C4, and Fabi played E4. Now, I have a serious question. Does Dinglerin also have 4 draws? I think he does. I'm pretty sure Ding has 4 draws. No? Yeah, Ding and Giri have 4 draws each. All right, Nepomniachtchi, he's not playing, he's playing E5 MVL. He's not playing the Night Orf. What's going on with MVL? Playing a regular Louis Lopez. I've never seen it. Draw Lirin. Rig G2 is a draw, actually. I checked the table base. Oh, Rig G2 draws and Rig G3 and Rig G1 lose? It's possible. It's funny because when I played Rig G2, it said like +54. That usually means it's over. Didn't round 4 end already? This is round 5. Man, I've never seen MVL black. I've seen him white in this position, not black. All right, and then we got Ding versus Radjabov. Okay, and Fabi Giri is some weird Rui Lopez. D3, Bishop G5. I've never seen that move, ever. I've seen C3, I've seen castles, I've seen Bishop takes C6, I've seen Knight C3, I've never seen Bishop G5. It's the noveltiest novelty of all time. Pretty boring novelty. I can't show the Rook G2 ending again because I don't have the games. I only have these games. Those games are finished forever. But if I do a recap later, I will show Rook G2 drawing if it does draw. And I'll explain why, if you guys fall for that. But when this is over, I'm going to take the longest nap ever, right? I mean, I'm probably never going to wake up. It's a pretty long nap. Alt F4 Pro. Hi, everyone. Thanks for the sub. Hooray. Yeah, Giri and Dinglerin both have all draws. Radjabov has 2 losses and 2 draws. And Fabi has 3 decisive games out of 4. Go, Fabi. Papa John's. Yeah, I think Radjabov's already checked out of this tournament.
He's still seething about the candidates.
Yeah, he should have refused to play in this tournament because of COVID and said, I'm not going from my living room to my computer room. He just refused to walk that far. So I got COVID. So that's what I would have done. All right, MVL not playing the Najdorf. Never in all my years. He's playing some boring Rui Lopez. They're trading everything. White is clearly slightly better. Have they announced when the candidates tournament will resume? They have not. Don't troll Raja elitists. That is true. I'm too elitist for Raja. Man, harsh. $100 Centidues. Come on, we had like all of Karen's family here. Karen's brother, Karen's brother's wife, Karen's half-brother, Karen's half-brother's wife, Karen's brother's daughter, Karen's half-brother's 2 daughters. My son was there, Spencer, and Karen's dad. Also, I saw 2 partridges and pear trees. We had enough COVID for the whole park. What was the name of that park? Chastain Park in Atlanta. Uh-huh. Yeah, we ate like grandmasters, etc. It is a lot of people. We were outside at a picnic table at a playground. It was good. Everybody was happy. We had people of all ages, 3, 5, 20, 29, 38. Your brother's 44 or 45?
45.
45, 50, probably she's 51, Kathleen.
Mm-hmm.
And then 54, and then 78. Mm-hmm. Oh, and also Tommy was there. Mm-hmm. How old's Tommy? Tommy is Karen's dad's second wife? Yeah, I don't know.
My younger brother.
Right, so her half-brother, that's his mom. I forgot she was there.
Mm-hmm.
How old is she?
Probably 68.
68? I forgot about her. Forgot about Dre, too. Dre was there. So, yeah, Dre. Anyway, the picnic was like 10:30 to 12:30, and we didn't see Yogi or Boo Boo, so we were good. All right, now what's going on here? Takes, rookie 1. All right, both players playing very quickly. Black's got 2 bishops. This bishop don't look very good. This bishop looks like it's going to get traded. My rook looks good. This rook's weird. That's a good bishop. So white's a little bit better. Not much. This is better for white a little bit because black has isolated d-pawn. Not much. And this is very interesting. Geary's been forced out of his shell Zoidberg style. Playing g5. Knight takes g5 is interesting, but he played this. And this is also interesting. This actually reminds me of the game yesterday between Hari Krishna and Grishuk. Not the best played game of all time. Close. Used to go for Bloody Marys at Einstein's on Piedmont Park. COVID.
That was our alternate location that we didn't.
Was Einstein's?
Yeah, we were either gonna. I love
Oh,
Einstein.
we almost went there. This guy said that's where he used to get Bloody Marys.
I love Einstein.
And I have a serious question. Is this Einstein's I don't know about, or is this Einstein's Bagels?
No, it's not.
Because I'm like, Bloody Marys at Einstein's Bagels, I question that. But you mean another Einstein's.
Einstein's is great. I've eaten it a million times.
What about me?
I thought you went once.
When's the last time you went to Einstein's?
It's been a while.
Yeah,
But I thought we met my dad there one time.
I don't think I've been there. I think I'd remember Einstein's. The guy misspelled his name twice. You haven't been in Atlanta for over 20 years. Karen used to go there all the time. You probably saw Karen there and didn't know it.
Mm-hmm.
What's Einstein's like? Is it like,
I don't know.
what kind of restaurant?
I don't remember the menu to be honest this one, but they have a great outdoor
Ah,
seating, which is
yeah,
a big attraction for me.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, we tried to go there dinner. It's a 2-hour wait.
2 hour wait. No. On Sanford and Son, occasionally Red Fox makes some unusual concoctions in the kitchen. So he made a drink that had all kinds of nonsense in it. It was horrible. And he says, "What do you call it?" He goes, "A bloody mess." It has like eggs in it. Has everything. It's crazy. A bloody mess. Karen will get Bloody Mary mix, but no alcohol. Rawr.
Yeah, that's what I like.
Yeah. Then you get on the plane and tell me it's terrible, or it's good on the plane, right? It has to be spicy or something.
Yeah, it's good on the phone.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we that was one of the places we almost went to. Luckily, that sounds like it's further away from us than Chastain Park.
Yeah. No, we were going to go to Einstein's for dinner instead of.
Oh, instead of we went to Bala.
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That was thrown around.
Ah, yeah.
No, not today.
All right, what's going on here? Bishop takes, pawn takes, d4. No, Fabi did a good job of getting unusual position. If Fabi wins, I'm not saying he will. He'll have 3 wins, a loss, and a draw. That's a lot of wins for a guy they make fun of for being bad at Rapid. They stopped making fun of him because he's been doing pretty well at Rapid lately. I think it started when he beat me in Rapid in the Pro Chess League. That's when it all started. All right, he's threatening the knight. It's a discovered attack. The engine doesn't like knight takes. It wants to play pawn takes. Now it says black is doing well. Black has the 2 bishops. What else? No, black has a good position. Black has a lot of bishops. Well, it just doesn't like d4, that's all. It says that black is doing well here. Yeah. Yeah, I don't always like black's position. Knight h5, g5, 3 bishops. All right, and then this game, somehow the pawn is no longer isolated. Bishop e5, bishop takes. All right, so bad bishop, 2 bishops. Pawns are now facing each other. Papa John's. All right, it's the most equal of positions. Radjabov's completely equalized by forcing white's pawn to d4, and now the pawn structure is equivalent and symmetrical, and black has good control of e4. That's just equal. And MVL slightly worse. He played d5 and retreated his bishop, keeping his 2 bishops. Obviously, black's pawn structure is worse. All right, and white has a slight advantage because black has all these isolated pawns. This bishop has a tough time finding a good square. But, okay, I mean, Obviously, these pawns aren't great. Always repeats. Rook b6, queen here, draw. That could happen. Yeah, we're going to see if it's going to happen now. So Nepomniachtchi can draw, or he could play rook a1, play for a win. Like if Giri was white, the game would have already been drawn. But Nepomniachtchi, So black's close to equal here. Position's not super exciting, lots of trades. Pawns are the same, 6 pawns each. I mean, black's slightly worse because this bishop's no good. All right, thinking forever, Giri, and this position's also completely equal. So last round we saw, in fact, every round today we saw 1 win and 2 draws. Looked like we were going to see 3 draws, but Radjabov, with very little time on his clock, after defending correctly for 40 moves, he ended up losing rook and bishop versus rook against Fabi. That shouldn't have happened either. He should have drawn before that. So Radjabov worked hard to lose that game, and he was successful, confusing Giri. What openings did Ian and MVL play? That looked like a Rui Lopez, which is weird because MVL always plays the Sicilian Najdorf. They just played a mainline Lopez, and they both played sort of weird. Bishop g4 is weird, knight d4 is weird. No. And it's not an exciting game. All right, so he played rook a1, and then g5, rawr, mainly to give the king a square, but he's not worried about his king being open because white's pieces are over here. And maybe later he'll play h4 and he'll attack white. So equal position, but double-edged. Giri decided 2 bishops, what else? 2 bishops against 2 knights. Black's pawn structure, a little iffy, but 2 bishops against 2 knights. So the engine says equal. But it's the kind of equal where you expect somebody to win, because very complicated position. COVID. White's slightly better. White got c5 for his knight. This knight doesn't have a good square. Can't come into c4. Bishop's not very good. Dinglarin's drawn all of his games. Radjabov's lost all of his games. You love me. Yay. Thanks, Pam. We'll have a great Father's Day. What happened?
Well, so Dr. Chess Gremlin gave us a link to the table-based
Yeah.
question
Yeah.
from,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't help me at all. It's too complicated.
Yeah.
So you'll have
Did it say that rook g2 was a draw?
There was one drawing move.
So it was rook g2.
Yeah.
Right, so he played rook g3 losing and rook g2 draws. So what we need to do is play the same way black played after rook g3 and figure out why rook g2 is better. Off the top of my head, I have no idea why it's better. It's funny that rook g2 is... See, rook g3 and rook g1 both put the rook on the same color as the bishop, and rook g2 doesn't. So there could be a tempo situation. I just don't see it. I don't see how it's applicable in this situation. The point is, and I've discussed this on stream many times. All right, now, I know how to mate with a queen, and Karen knows how to mate with a queen, but it's a different kind of knowing how to do it.
Oh, yeah, I have to think about it.
Right, I mean, Karen's always, if Karen has half an hour on the clock, and she, no, I said if, and she played 100 games, she would get 100 points.
Oh, yeah.
Right? If she had 20 minutes, she would get 100 points. Mm-hmm. And at some point, she wouldn't get 100 points. I don't know if it's 5 minutes or 3 minutes or 1 minute. There's some amount of time. If I'm playing blindfold and I have 30 seconds, I'm going to get 100 points because I know it better than she does, even though she knows it. And the same with any kinds of positions like that, king and pawn endings. My students are like, I know this. And what that means is, it could mean they don't know anything, but it could mean that they can do it sometimes, and they have some knowledge of the ideas, but they don't really know it. They play okay. So rook and bishop versus rook, there's a lot of different levels of knowledge. For GMs, my knowledge is very bad, very bad. And the reason is, if I play 10,000 games of chess, it's going to happen once. So I don't find it important to study. And in fact, in my life, I've had it twice. And I've probably played 250,000 games of chess in Blitz, Bullet, Simuls, for fun, tournaments, online. And I've had it twice. And when I had the rook and bishop, I won. And when I had the rook, I drew. So it might have cost me a point in my life, but it didn't. But it might have. So now there are people, obviously, like Josh Friedel. Josh Friedel knows rook and bishop versus rook. And I'm assuming Fabi does too, since Fabi keeps having it. But like Josh Friedel really knows rook and bishop versus rook. So he knows it like I know king and queen versus king. So, and that's not what I do. I don't do that. And Radjabov knows rook and bishop versus rook, but he doesn't know it in a way that in every legal position, in 3 seconds, he can make an accurate move. And when he was playing on the increments, he played accurately for 40 moves, and then he made a mistake. So, and if Radjabov knew it better and actually knew it perfectly, he still might have lost because, you get tired and you move game's going on forever, it's move 100, you make a mistake, even if you know it. So, in Radjabov's life, knowing a lot about queen and rook and bishop versus rook, or not knowing it, might cost him half a point in 20 years. So it's not something you should, spend 20 hours on. But some people just do it for fun, like Josh Friedel. Yeah. Like bishop and knight versus king, I've never had it in a slow game, ever. But I have it a lot for fun in blitz, chess, and bullet, so I know it pretty well. But if I didn't know it at all, I had no knowledge, it wouldn't have affected my FIDE or USCF ratings ever because I've never had it. I did have it on the defensive side against Shabalov, and he just moved in 1 second every move he made at me. Like it was nothing to him. Frankly, ridiculous. All right, so out of developments in the Fabi game, he played queen h5, putting it in h, and attacking the h-pawn. And instead of defending it with king here or counterattacking, he gave up his 2 bishops. The engine says black has a big advantage here with king g7, and then maintain the threats and such. But, Giri wants to draw, so he takes. That makes the game closer at all zeros. Takes, queen g7, and he castled. The engine actually very slightly prefers white here, but the engine clearly preferred black in this position. And instead of trading off his good bishop and getting rid of his 2 bishops, trading this pawn for this pawn, he should have just defended his pawn, and then he could have had the 2 bishop advantages. So he went from better to equal, so he's pretty happy. Yeah. So this game is closer to a draw now than it was, but white has the nicer side of the draw. All right, in this position, Dinglerin is a tiny bit better. Ooh, never play f3. I was saying black has the e4 square, and then white said, nah. But, man, look at Dinglerin. He's pulling at my heartstrings. You see what he did? He played f3, then he played bishop f1. I mean, he doesn't know just tell me what you want. Okay, then b6, takes, queen f4, and white is very slightly better. Queen f4 is a pretty scared move, but all right. Trade everything, and let's see what's happening in Nepomniachtchi versus MVL. g5 is the last position we saw. I guess Nepomniachtchi thought black would have a nice attack over here, so he traded queens. Black's attacking anyway. He doesn't care. Knight g1. The knight's going to come here. Put pressure here. Maybe he'll play knight f5. Always repeats. Okay, and white plays for the win, doesn't repeat. All right, and the engine says white has a big advantage because you got 3 weak pawns and I have 0 weak pawns. So it's possible black's going to lose one of these pawns. It could happen, and I don't see what pawn white's going to lose. So the engine likes white. Also, my rook is on open line, and your rook is behind a pawn sitting there doing nothing. So advantage to white. Nepomniachtchi, advantage against MVL. This position is all zeros, it says. After rook b8, threatening mate. He played e5, confusing the audience. The reason he played e5, it's a clearance sacrifice, as in the famous game from Hastings 1895. Right. Somebody? Steinitz. Steinitz, von Bartholeb, and Hastings 1895. You knew the game. And in that game, the clearance sacrifice was d5, so he could play knight to d4, which he did. Right? Okay, this game was e5, so he could play knight to e4. So if he had his druthers, he would play knight e4 and so on, mainly and so on. So he played e5 with this intention. Also, e5 stops checkmate. Also a good idea. If queen takes e5, threatening checkmate, then white plays checkmate. Then I sing the Barney song. I checkmate you, you checkmate me. None of that happened because you're Geary. Now in this position, the engine says after rook b5, black is better. Attacks the pawn. The pawn can't move because of mate. Sort of forces white to trade queens. Now after rook b5, Geary has to watch out for knight e4, but I guess after knight e4 he could trade queens and then take the pawn, I guess. So after rook b5, the engine prefers black. Geary took on e5. The engine says this is close to all zeros, so that's better. Now it wants him to play queen takes c6. That's the end. We played knight e4, the point of e5. And now, against all of my good wishes, the engine says black is better after f6. Obviously, knight f6, and white's better. So you played f6, never play f6. Black's a pawn up. Black has a bad pawn structure. The engine, of course, says it's all zeros. So Geary's happy. Man, he really put an end to that checkmating threat. That was close. White's got the nice open files. White has a better pawn structure, but black has an extra pawn. So it's equal. This game was drawn, I guess, by reputation. These guys have big reputations. Radjabov and Ding. Check, here, always repeat. And draw. Okay, Dingler in 5 draws. Let's ask Karen about her memory. Ready? Yesterday, who drew 5 games? All 5. I'll give you a hint. He goes hard into paint. Waka, 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 Naka. Oh. Naka 5 draws. And today, Dingler in has 5 draws. Geary's trying to catch them with 5 draws. He's trying. Okay, who doesn't have 5 draws? Caruana, Hari Krishna, Dubov, Artemeyev, etc. Mainly, etc. Now, Karen, from memory, will recite the standings from yesterday. Who's in first?
I don't know.
Somebody's in clear first.
Because I don't remember.
Artemeyev. And second, clear second is?
Dubov?
That's right.
Yay.
Then Magnus and Hikaru are third, fourth tied.
Uh-huh.
And then fifth is Grishuk. And sixth is Hari Krishna. Yeah.
I knew Hari Krishna was last.
Mm-hmm. And he won the last game and he's still last. Yeah. He won against his opponent, and his opponent has more points than him still. Mm-hmm. And there's no rounds. So that was the only game that Grishuk lost. It was the only game Hari Krishna won. True story.
I was glad he won one.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
All right, now, to troll me, and only to troll me, Geary played f6, and Caruana responded with f3. And if I was a betting man, which I'm not, I think both players know that f6, f3 was just played and they're thinking of me. Somebody's thinking of me, Probably on the other streams, they're like F6, F3. Ben Feingold is rolling around in his soon-to-be grave. Now, in this position, after F3, the engine says queen takes, rook takes, king G7, and black's better. But Geary doesn't want to be better when he can be equal. So bishop F5. Still probably better for black. Black's a pawn up, but Caruana's not scared because that's the extra pawn. Frankly, a terrible extra pawn. So it's still close to equal. This is just better for white because black has all these weak pawns, and MVL's like, you're not going to win my weak pawns. Ridiculous. So MVL's just trying to do nothing and draw, and Nepomniachtchi wants to win 3 pawns. The engine says, already white can win a pawn. Rook takes, bishop takes, knight takes. Problem with that is after bishop e5, we have opposite color bishop ending that's almost certainly a draw. So he didn't do that. He's played rook a6. Threatening bishop takes d5. He wants to put pressure on all the pawns, not trade everything off into a draw and endgame. And Fabi traded queens. The engine didn't like that and wanted to retreat the queen to h2. It's a pretty non-human move there. Queen takes is more human. Knight c5. Rook b5, knight a4. The engine says black has a big advantage, but at some point, black has to do something about his pawn structure. If he does, he'll be a pawn up, but maybe rook d5. Yeah. So better for Geary, but the engine says much better for Geary. But, I mean, Geary doesn't want to win, so I don't know. Terrible. Yeah, I mean, black's a pawn up, and white has very little compensation. Very strange play by Caruana, playing super aggressive, and then playing e5 and trading queens. Not Fabi's best game. g4 is good. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, black is just a pawn up here. Bishop's probably better than the knight. So, good winning chances for Geary. I looked at the table base. Rook g1 and rook g2 both draw. The rook wants to check on c6 after either rook c2 or rook c1. After rook g3, can't check on b6 after rook b3. Bishop d4 and cover the b6 square. I mean, also, if you don't know what you're doing, you just move your rook as far away from the rook and bishop as possible. So, like, if I didn't know anything, I wouldn't play so the 6th rank, 3rd rank like you did, I would go further. So that's weird.
It didn't say that RG1 drew.
This guy says RG1 doesn't draw. Also, every move that Centipede wrote was wrong. He's mixing all the notation up.
Said that one square drew.
Right. Yeah, and Gremlin agrees with you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I'm not good at reading the table.
Yeah. Okay, rook b4, rook d2. Doesn't like rook d2. I don't really understand rook d2, but all right. Let's see how it hurts things. Yeah, this is really bad for white. This is a great ending for black. If Geary wins, then Fabi will have 4 decisive games out of 5, and Geary's going to be tied for first. No.
Oh, he's saying on the table base. I am on a different site in table base, so could be the sites don't agree.
What? Or you guys have different positions. Also possible.
I went back to the position they were in the game when it discussion.
Well, I'm going to look now because I have my table base site.
Okay.
All right, table base. I have it's a German site. Table
Yeah, I wasn't at
base.
the table base site.
All right. I typed in table base and it auto corrected to Chessable. So it was spelling very well. All right, where's my table base? Here it is. No, here it is. Can you tell me the position? Do you see the position?
I don't have that from there.
Let's see. So it's king, carry the 1.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The rook, white rook is on G6. Black
Uh-huh.
rook on F7. King on E6. Black king, black bishop.
Bishop is there, and it's
White,
white to move, evaluate.
Yeah, so I'm on a different site.
This isn't the site I usually go to either. I want the Nalimov table bases.
Oh, I'm on some site that Gremlin.
This is at Nalimov. It just says loading. I don't understand. I can't do it.
Oh,
All right, hold on.
I was thinking.
No, it doesn't think.
Oh.
That's the point.
I mean,
There's a site that I always use.
I'm saying the software.
This is the site I always use. Okay. Yeah. All right. King. It's KT K4IT.de slash. It's a lot of nonsense. It's a German site.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. A friend of mine told me it was Nazi bad. Yeah. I said, is it ever wrong? And he said he's done 1,000,000 times, only 9 mistakes. Rook G2 is a draw. Rook G1 loses. Okay, Rook G2. And then it just says the moves were draws. It doesn't explain why. But yeah. So in that position, Rook G2 drew and Rook G1 and Rook G3 lost. Yeah, I'm guessing with the rook on G3 and G1, they're dark squares. So the winning move for black in some position is going to be a bishop retreat, threatening some kind of mate, but also threatening the rook. And if the rook's on G2, you can't attack the rook because it's on white square. So that's probably why that is, but I'd have to look at both lines and figure out why.
Yeah.
So rook G2 was the only drawing move. But king G8's a terrible move.
Yeah.
I mean, king G8 makes white have to really try hard. King G6 was like an easy draw. I've never been so angry. Yeah. All right, in this game, he played knight C5, which is a blunder. He blundered checkmate, Fabi.
Oh no.
Yeah, and his opponent saw it. What's funny about blundering the checkmate, and Fabi already lost, is he checkmated himself. He played rook D2, knight C5. If his rook wasn't on D2, rook C4 wouldn't work. So if you take the rook, it's rook B1 checkmate. And if you don't take the rook, your knight's hanging. So he resigned after rook C4. The funny thing is, the point of rook B8 was to stop knight C5 because of rook C4, but he didn't notice that. He played here. So rook D2 was a weird move I didn't understand. And it actually hurt him really badly because now he has to resign. And he resigned. So Caruana lost. But rook C4 check. Now, this reminds me, and I'm sure it reminds you too, of the Dragon Sicilian game that Kasparov won against Anand in the World Championship match at the World Trade Center in 1995. I'm sure that's the first thing you were thinking of. Somebody find that game on the internet. It's Anand is white against Kasparov, 1995 World Trade Center. It's between games 10 and 16. It's probably like game 12, somewhere in there. He was black and a dragon, and he beat Anand with this similar kind of checkmate trick. I think it might have been rook. Yeah, it was like 2 rooks and a bishop against 2 rooks and a bishop or something. But anyway, Anand got his king trapped on the queen side in a similar fashion and had to resign because of this checkmate trick. I'm sure you guys all know the game.
What was it, your 95?
Yeah, Rufus Blunder subscribed. Yay! It's Anand is white. It's a Dragon Sicilian. It's from 1995 World Championship match, and black won in about 30 moves. It's Anand is white against Kasparov. I think it's the only game Anand lost with white. The first 8 games were drawn, and then Anand won game 9, and then games 10 through 16, Anand was just losing and losing and losing. So he lost like 4 games to 1 or something. Okay, Kangaroo just put it in the chat. Yeah. Yeah, at the very end of the game, he got tricked Anand, and he got his king checkmated to a very nice trick. This rook takes b4 check, rook takes c2. Yeah, that was nice. I don't know if I can paste that because you have it in German there. So yeah, it might not work the pasting. Rook c4, knight b6. Yeah. Yeah, he tricked him good there. He got his king trapped. Man, Anand didn't see rook takes c2. God damn, rook takes c2 was tricky. Yeah. Anyway, a lot of people, including the super GMs and world champions, they relax in the ending as far as their spidey sense about checkmate. Right? When you're playing an opening and middle game, you know that if you get checkmated, you lose. So you're like, how do I not get checkmated? You're always worried about your king. Then when the end game happens, you're like, all right, checkmate's over. Now I can play the end game. And so Caruana wasn't thinking about checkmate, obviously. So he missed rook c4 check. And neither was Anand. He was missing, his king was getting trapped because he's like, it's the end game. I'm not going to have my king get in trouble. But his king was bad. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I tried to get the game in the German algebraic once, but it was just a bunch of 9s in a row. So I must have typed something in wrong. Yeah. Terrible. So Geary wins after 4 draws. That means that Ding is the only player with 5 draws today. Nakamura is the only player with 5 draws yesterday. Geary currently is tied for first with MVL. If MVL loses, then Geary's tied for first with Nepomniachtchi. And if MVL wins, which is unlikely, MVL's in first, Geary's in second, and Nepomniachtchi's in fifth, and Radjabov is in sixth, if that happens. Fabiano, 4 decisive games, 2 wins and 2 draws. Pretty good. All right, and this game is all zeros. I'm getting a message here on my phone. Geary was very upset after winning. He was considering withdrawing from the tournament, but he was talked into playing by Fabi. All right, he's not going to withdraw. Really unhappy he won. He said that was never my intention. B8. Yeah, in fact, when I was invited to this tournament, and they took back the invitation, because Geary said it's either Ben or me, and they wanted Geary more, higher rated than me, because he was afraid he would beat me. So they didn't want anybody he could beat. They found another American he could beat. So there you go. All right, knight f4, forcing black to take that because, your pawns are all hanging. So are you kidding me? Yeah. Okay, now everybody has a bad pawn structure, but if I play f5 and you take it and I take, then my bishop's pretty good. So that's what happened. Yeah. Bam. All right, he got what he wanted. And this is just drawn now. White was better. What did he do wrong? He shouldn't trade bishops? Yeah. See, my bishop's better than your bishop, so he should just move his bishop somewhere. But he traded bishops, which is just a dead draw. What, did Nepomniachtchi think he was Geary? $9.99 from Perrier Rap. Thank you. So Nepomniachtchi very, very, very slowly and imperceptibly outplayed MVL and got this very slight advantage where he's pressing to win. And like Magnus would play bishop g2 and try to win in 90 moves, but instead he traded at all zeros. Yeah, not a scintilla of an advantage. Yeah, because he keeps attacking these 2 pawns and then draw. Okay, so the round is over. Geary is tied for first with MVL. They both have 1 win and 4 draws. And the other players have 50%, and Radjabov is -2. So there's a first-second tie, third, fourth, fifth are tied, and then Radjabov is in 6th. You agree with all that? All right, Karen agrees. Yeah. And Fabiano had 4 decisive games out of 5. Pretty good. And Dinglerin had 5 draws. Did anybody yesterday have 4 decisive games? Yes. I just figured out who it was. Hari Krishna. He lost 3 and won 1. Yeah. So Fabiano had a better 4 decisive games, 2 and 2. Yeah. All right, now tomorrow, we're back to the other people, if you can call them people. These people don't play tomorrow. The people who played yesterday play tomorrow. Magnus and Aka and those guys. Artemeyev, Dubov, Grishuk, and Hari Krishna. So we'll see them tomorrow. Tomorrow is the last round of the prelims. That'll be the double round robin. We're done. And then the top 4 people go on to the match 1, which starts on Thursday. and the other 2 people, they're out. No more chess for them. So after tomorrow, 2 of those people aren't playing anymore, and 4 continue, and so on, mainly, and so on. So, all right, I'm going to go home and take a nap, and so on. I'll be back tonight doing another stream, and then I'll see you guys tomorrow at 10 a.m., and I'll do the whole round again. No picnics tomorrow.
Bye.
And believe me, analyzing this round was also no picnic. All right.
See you.
See you guys. Bye.